Hence, you may be pleased to go through some pages, that is not enough.
It takes 5 or 10 years. It takes 5 to 10 years to go twice or thrice to the cosmic fire.
Yes. Even while taking a journey, we can be using it. Therefore, many files of years we have spent till now. Let us spend 5 more years without stopping the other activity. You can take the book when you are on a journey, and you can bring the book back home without forgetting it anywhere. And every night you can contribute half an hour more. Just you will be able to finish within a maximum period of 5 years. And another thing is, if you pay the required amount of veneration and continuity and stability of attitude with such books as the Cosmic Fire, you will find another miracle taking place. After 100 or 200 pages, then you will be able to read the book automatically in sleep, in dream, and in the awakened state also. The book may be on your table, but you will be wonderfully reading the book 24 hours. You will know what it is if you just pay some attention. And what is called Shraddha in Sanskrit, that is continuity of purpose and application of activity in a spirit, with a spirit of veneration. That is what is called Shraddha. That's all. Such books demand it. Otherwise, it will be an intellectual reading which leads us nowhere. It leads us into the many labyrinths of analysis. Cosmic, the Devas 4 types, each Deva 7 types, each of these sub-Devas 16 types. Then there is wuthering in the brain, and we have vertigos and we sleep. So the intellectual approach leads us into the many labyrinths of where we find vertigo sold everywhere. So I wish sometime you will know the ease of reading such books only through veneration. Just spend half an hour with great veneration. Let it be half a page or 1 page or 2 or 3 sentences. You will begin to enter into the book, and they will make you read night and day. So there are these fellows, builders. These are destroyers. That is, they belong to the foreign side of creation. They belong to the energy side of creation. You know, energy kills form. Otherwise, energy cannot galvanize your vehicles. Only by killing the tissues and the cells and corpuscles, the packets of energy and the ashrams of energy where millions and millions of these devas live, each ashram is called one atom of oxygen. We simply call it oxygen. We don't know that each atom is an ashram containing some millions of devas of fire. We should be able to communicate with them and talk to them. You can ask what news, they will tell you everything. So, from chemistry, we enter into their kingdom. These are the oxygen group of devas. And devas are the solar rays, energies. They are pouring down the etheric matter of the solar system, the sun god, some shapes of rivers. Each shape is taken care of one deva of shape, form, and the resultant being what we call our vehicle, which includes the physical, etc. Without that deva form, you can't have your form. You will be only a lump of beef with some bones, a mass of beef. Two friends meeting, that is, two masses of beef meet and say hello. If there are three people, you can't recognize one from the other because everyone is a mass of beef. We have to say only, my dear beefs. You can't say Krishnamacharya, Rodolph, etc. How can you know Rodolph different from others? Because of the deva of form that is there, and taking everything that is coming in the form of food, drink and oxygen and light and water and putting it into the same form without changing the form we recognize as Mr. Rodolph. So it is the function of these Pitris, wonderful fellows, to make us recognize each other. When we meet in New York, suddenly we say, hello Rodolph, how do you know? Because of the form. Otherwise, if we both of us meet there as lumps of beef, there is no difference between person and person. See how we cannot recognize these two chairs. For the first time I come into the hall to place these chairs like this. I sit down and give the lecture. Next day you change the chairs. I sit down. I think it is the same chair. I don't know how you change the chairs because they are identical. When we cannot recognize chairs when they are changed, how can we recognize the lumps of beef one from the other? Unless there is a different caricature and signature, which we call the personality and the shape of a person. So these devas, they take care of our forms and shapes. That's why they are called the family heads of the living beings. In the scriptures they are called the elders of the living beings, are the family heads of the living beings. They are called the Pitris. And there are many groups among the Pitris. I told you, one group Agnishwatas, those who have extinguished their fires. The other day I told you. Those who have extinguished their fires and sat calmly. So you don't find anything in their kitchen. There's no fire. I explained to you a few days ago about Agnishwatas. That is, those nuclear entities, the electrons and the protons and the neutrons of the atoms, of the molecules, of the substance which we call the non-living or inanimate. Therefore, they have extinguished their fires of what we call the biological activity. Someday they will kindle once again. Some fine morning they feel like eating and they will kindle once again the fire in the kitchen. So they are called Agnishwatas. They contribute to what we call the inanimate matter or the molecules of the various substances in our body and outside also. And the other group called Barhirmukhas. Barhirmukhas. That is, those who have light as their torch before them. Those who have not extinguished their fires. That means the counterparts of the atoms in the molecules that make up the protoplasm are the biological substance. That is, the organic substance. The inhabitants of the organic substance are called Barhirmukhas. The inhabitants of the inorganic substance are called Agnishwatas. And then there are a third group called Somyas. These are really wonderful. They belong to the kingdom of a king called Soma. See, Soma is a king among Gandharvas. Do you remember them? Musical devas. That is, the devas who preside over the law of periodicity. They prepare the beat of everything, the heartbeat, the respiration, all these things. That is periodical occurrences. That's why they are called the lords of music. What we call music is nothing but our feeling of the periodicity in terms of sound. When we feel the presence of periodicity in terms of sound, we call it music. But in fact, music is not in sound. The music we produce is applied music applied to sound. But real music is original beyond sound. It can be produced through sound or through color, through number. Anyway, when we produce it through sound, we are calling it music. So, these Gandharvas are there, and this fellow is a musical fellow. And the physical bodies of these Gandharvas exist upon what we call Neptune. And from there, they come to our solar system and reach our sun, the ray of the Neptune. And then they reach our moon along with the sun's rays that are reflected. Some of the rays of sun are incidental upon the satellite moon. And then from the moon, along with the sun's rays, they descend to our earth. They descend to our earth. And they preside over certain functions. One is what we call fertilization. Fertilization of the biological kingdom. Let it be plants, animals, human beings, birds, anything. And also what we call the fecundation or the development of the fetus through its stages. and also the membrane formation of the vehicles, the formation of the various membranes up to our skin. Therefore, they are also called the lords of the layers.
Is this the Samyas or the Gandharvas?
The Gandharvas. At present, our solar system is not evolved enough to have a planetary globe for these rays. That's why they are receiving from the outermost, that is, this Neptune does not belong to our solar system, as you know. The students of astronomy may be knowing that he is not a member of the solar family of our solar system. Our solar system is not yet evolved, aged enough to have a physical plane planetary globe to condense the Deva activity of these Gandharvas. That's why for the present, the satellite moon is used as a keyboard, and through the sun they are sent. You will find this in 2 or 3 places, very gently hinted in the secret action. Blavatsky says in the 3 places, I describe moon, she describes moon, and she says, it is a blind. That means it is a substitute to a bigger planet which you cannot understand now. That is what she says. The satellite moon, we know only very little about him because we don't know the functions of how fertility is taking place, how the fertilization takes place, how the seed is formed, how the seed is germinated in any kingdom. We don't know. With all our knowledge of biology and genetics and biogenetics, we can just work as the agents of reproduction, but we cannot know what is happening. We can be slaves of the activity, but we can't be the masters yet, how it is being conducted. So, these Gandharvas are working. They start from Neptune. They directly come to our sun, and then through the solar rays, along with the solar rays that are working to descend upon the earth, to give us the fire of the fabric which we call the prana, or the life of this earth. Along with that they are coming. If there were no Gandharva ray through the moon or the lunar ray, what would have been happened? There would have been no vehicles of physical bodies at all. When there is life and when there is no matter, what happens? There is only fire. There will be life, but there will be no form, just as there is life in the solar globe. You can't find population in the solar globe, but it is foolish to say that there is no life or living beings. In the sun globe, there is life and there are living beings. If there were no life in the sun globe, where from it comes to the earth? So there it is a blind to the modern science still. Modern scientist has to wait until he finds an explanation. So life is coming from the sun through sun's rays to this earth. And these builders who give us form, the Pitrus, they are also coming from the sun, but from the planet Neptune via the sun of our solar system, and reflected upon the satellite moon, they are descending into our earth. That's the reason why the periods of menstruation and ovulation correspond with the new moons and the full moons and the moon phases, because they are governed by these builders. The phenomenon of what we call menstruation and ovulation, they are periodicities, because they have equal periods of time. For example, 28 days. In the case of a healthy lady, there is a period. That's why the moon is called the ark or the boat. The boat, ship, upon which the seeds of would-be living beings will be brought when they exist in flood. That is, the beings who have no physical bodies, who left their physical bodies, they are made to have once again their physical bodies through reproduction with the help of the cycles of the moon. That's why the moon is called the Ark of Noah, who brought the seeds of all living beings in pairs into his ship and saved for them from the flood. This is wonderfully explained in the secret doctrine, but unfortunately we missed it for 1 century. We awfully missed it. Though we are born and though we are producing, though we are multiplying, all these symbols are given there. Now, this is something about the Pitras. That's why in the physical body of a human being also, you have the 3 planes of the yajna of the devas, that is the plan of the devas, according to the same Rigveda. As you stand, of course, the human body will be more beautiful. I am not good in drawing. There are 3 lokas or planes in the trunk from head to the vertebral column. This is called heaven or the plane of light. This is called the intermediary plane, or what is called the plane of air. And this is called the plane of water, earth, fire. So here it is the plane of the devas of light. It is called the abode of the instructors of the wisdom, because we have the senses, the mind, the grasping, all the apparatus with which we know everything. Here we have devas of life. The second plane is devas of life. That is, here we breathe and we have the activity of the heart, and these devas make us live. They bring the life, energy and force, and they pack the body repeatedly. They are busy at work. Here you find, this is the plane of devas of form or reproduction. So the Pitrus work here. The lunar devas, the Somyas, and among the Pitrus, the Somyas work here. Somyas, that is from the Soma, the Neptunian Pitrus, or the lunar Pitrus. They work in the lower region, which we call the reproductory mechanism. What we call the organs of reproduction, they do not belong to us, they belong to the lunar Pitrus. Therefore, we are expected to keep up the purity of those Pitrus according to the Vedic text. We are expected to understand that the sex act is a sacred yajna. It may be a field of indulgence to us. We are permitted to enjoy, but we are in no way excused when we pollute. That is what the Vedic text says. Excuse me if I hurt anyone, but it is only a repetition of the sentence of the Vedic text. We may accept or may not accept it, but they say it is the place where our bodies are manufactured and minds are manufactured and our astral bodies are manufactured. Therefore, if we keep up the purity, the Pitrus bless us with pure thought, pure body. If we make it polluted, they curse us with diseases and pollution of thought and body, and competition, war, strife and destruction. That is what the Vedic mantras say about this. I think there is no compromise. We may not accept, but there is no compromise with the idea. So, what we call purity of marital life has a basis which is deeper than what we call moral or ethical values. Those who think that morality is only a convention, it is all conventional, they are far below the level of a human being in evolution. Morality is not a convention, it is based on something scientific and deeper, and it is based on the laws of nature. But we may not be in a stage of evolution to know it and see it, but that's no excuse. A blind man may not see the sunrise, that doesn't mean that there is no sunrise. So, here, these Somyas conduct this. That's why it is said, here the devas of creation exist. Creative devas. Here, reproductive devas. Here, preserving devas. So, creative devas, preserving devas, and reproductive devas. That is how they demarcate the human being who is in fact the cerebrospinal system. Because the hands and the feet do not count as parts of human being, they are only the instruments. What we call the human being is included only from head to the end of the spinal column, which prepares all the essential organs and the functions. What we call the trunk. So tomorrow we will continue. So in the 8th stanza, the Devas, both potential and manifest, they have made the offering by sprinkling the Purusha upon the blades of sacred grass, that is, the rays of light which came out before the solar systems and the creations came. So there was the process of dispersing and sprinkling out. Now in the next stanza, the next step of the yajna or offering is described. So we are going to the 9th one. That's the first line. Tasmat yajnat sarva hutaha. That's the next line. Sampratam Purusha ajyam. Third line. Pashun tan chakre vayavyan aranyan gramyan cha ye. So once again, tasmat yajnat sarvahuta samrutam prushat ajyam pashun tan chakre vayavyan aranyan gramyan cha ye. Tasmat becomes tasmat. That is the original part. In grammar it becomes tasmat. From that, that's the meaning. That's the first word. And also from him. That or him both means. That is the Purusha who was himself the Yajna. Yajna, the second one. From the Yajna. Yajna means from the Yajna. Sarvatuta, all burnt. And also means all offered. Then the second line. The sentence is not complete, therefore we go to the second line. Purusha should be taken first. That means sprinkled. Ajyam means ghee or clarified butter. We got it previously also. Sambratam. The first word sambratam means gathered. So this is the second line. Here the sentence is complete. That means From that all burnt offering, where they sprinkled the clarified butter upon the blades of grass. From that yajna or offering, they have gathered once again the ghee. First it was sprinkled into the offering. That is, from a center to all directions it is sprinkled, and then again gathered to the center. And then we go to the next class. Next, the word tan. It means them. The word tan means them. Pashun, next word. Beasts. The next one is Vayavya. That means the beings of the air.
Beings or being?
Beings of the air. Vayu means air, the beings of the air. Next, Aranya, the beings of the forest, the beings of the forest. Gramya, the next, the beings of the villages. Cha, also. Cha means also. Ye. Ye is a relative pronoun meaning those. There is one word, the verb left. Chakre. Chakre means they have made. This means that the devas have gathered all the clarified butter that they sprinkled into fire. First they sprinkled everything on the blades of grass and burnt it in the fire of the blades, that is the light, the first light. And again they get